I am Professor Yossi Garfinkel from the Institute of Archaeology at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. We're having here a cooperation with Macquarie University from Sydney, and this is already our second year of excavations here in this site. It's on the border between Philistia and Judah, at the edge between the Judean Shfela and the coastal plain, and we have here remains from the time of King David. We know that this site was occupied mainly in the 12th century BC, the 11th century BC, and then the early 10th century BC. In our excavation, we already uncovered important remains from the early 10th century, the time of King David. Then we're going down, we have remains from the second half of the 11th century BC, the time of the Philistine in this region. Under it, we have an earlier Philistine phase, and we are hoping this season, or maybe next season, to be able to go all the way down from topsoil to virgin soil and to have the whole occupational sequence.
Hi, I'm Bronwyn, and I'm a Bachelor of Archaeology student from Macquarie Uni. We've just arrived in Israel at Khirbet, el-Rai, and we are just getting ready to start the excavation.
So far, we are just excavating the topsoil, basically getting rid of all the refuse in the topsoil locus so we can actually get to the good stuff. I'm keen to see what we find out in like the next couple of days because we're slowly getting down there, but time will tell.
We're here at Khirbet el-Rai, uncovering Hellenistic walls, maybe at the moment. I found some pottery so far, a jar maybe, and we're looking to put the rest of this jar together over the next few days, hopefully.
Hi, my name's Katie Webb and I'm a student at Hebrew University. I came here and joined the Macquarie University students, and we're digging here at el-Rai. We've been finding a lot of pottery and a lot of architecture in this section, so hopefully we'll find more in the coming weeks.
My name is Jacob. I'm from Portland, Oregon, in the United States. It's great to be working here with Macquarie students, and I'm pretty excited to see what we'll find by the end of next week.
Right now I'm just digging down to a new locus, detailing this wall, making sure there's no extra levels to it. I've been finding a lot of pottery too. I found the grinding stone here just earlier, so we're going to take that back, clean it up, and maybe do some testing on it.
To excavate a pot, if you've used a pickaxe and you can feel something or you can see a pottery sherd, you switch to the trowel, and that way you can have more control over the area, and you can gently identify the lines of the sherd or the vessel if it's still intact. So then you switch from a trowel to the brush and you gently brush the area so you can try and distinguish any more sherds or parts of the vessel evenly. Once that's happened, we tend to call Sophia over, or the lab, and they take residue analysis samples. So once the sample has been taken, we can start to look at actually dislodging the vessel. So we use the brush and try to dislodge it very gently. If it's still not coming out with really minimal pressure, we use the trowel to sort of try and dislodge it a little bit more. Once that's happened, we get the elevation from above sea level taken of that spot, and that gets recorded on the label with the sample. So the label it records the area it was found, the locus it was found in. It'll have its own bucket number and also a description of the item, so whether or not it's a vessel or the base of a vessel or a bowl or something like that. And then that gets put in a separate bucket with the sherds that were found in its immediate surroundings. And that's also labelled "Do Not Wash," so then that way the lab can take any further samples that they might need. So once they have been analysed by the lab and they are ready to be washed, they get soaked for 24 hours. And then once that happens, we use cold water and purpose-specific little brushes. If there's any patterns or colours on the pottery, we have to be really gentle with it, so we don't really scrub very hard on those pieces. And then once that's all cleaned, they get left out to dry, and then they're ready to be analysed. So once they're ready to be assessed, they get taken and they look for certain identifiable markers. So they look for whether it's a rim or a base or a bowl. If it's open or a closed vessel, they try and get all the sherds that were found in the same area, and they see if they can actually try and reconstruct the vessel. And if that's the case, it gets sent off for restoration if possible.
So we take a couple of samples from the different squares and the different loci to get the different types of soil, even in such a small area, can change a lot. And then we run tests on it. So we got the chance to run 4 different tests just to see what the breakdown of the soil is, is it more acidic, alkalinic, and those kind of things. But it's just really cool having like a chemistry lab sort of thing on site and being able to do this in the field rather than waiting for it to go back to the lab.
So as we dig through the strata, we take soil samples from the square. These we then take small samples out of and analyse the granular size and colour of the soil. This we then test the pH of, and yeah, it's a great experience to get both the scientific and practical side of archaeology.
Here we're trying to set up the analytical chemistry laboratory in the field, and the purpose of our work is to find the differences in chemical composition of the soil during the excavation itself. Another purpose of our laboratory is actually to teach students to take samples on the field, so they will be skilled to do it by themselves once they go out and do their own excavations. We put quite a lot of input into safety and organic safety, analytical safety of the lab. We do quite a wide range of training during the preparation for laboratory work, and then students work in the lab wearing lab coats, gloves, goggles for eye protection.
So to my right you can see the remains of a surface. This surface is actually a courtyard. We first started revealing it in the farthest corner from me, and as we went down we revealed more and more of it. The finds, the pottery finds that we found in it were dated to the same time as the building around it, that is from the Iron Age 1. This is interesting to us because if you connect the finds from the courtyard to the building, it actually gives us a better picture of what went on. Another reason that we know that that we can tell that it's a courtyard is the thick layer of stones that made it up. The reason for this thick layer of stones is because this courtyard, being open to the elements, had to be more waterproof than a surface inside of a building. And if we put all these things together, it gives us a better idea of how these people lived so many years ago.
Okay, welcome to square S18 here in Area D at Khirbet, el-Rai. So this is a square we just opened properly yesterday, and we opened it for one main purpose. If you look in our old square over here, area square S17, you'll see that we have this long wall heading into the bulk, and we're hoping to find the continuation of this wall in our next square. You can already see down here we have a couple of large stones that seem to be the top of that wall, and we're also hitting some nice mud brick debris here in this square as well, so we hope that that will yield something interesting about the architecture we have here. As we do that, we have of course our trusty pottery buckets with tags made by me for locus and basket number, and we're already getting quite a bit of pottery in these baskets, which is very exciting. And basically our aim here is to try to find a bit more of this wall by the end of the season, and if we're really lucky, to try to get a bit of a floor on one side of it to provide some dating material.
So here we are in the last day of the dig. After 3 wonderful weeks with the student of Macquarie University, we have wonderful results. In Area A, behind me, we managed to understand the architecture. Now we have 2 buildings, a big courtyard and 5 rooms around it. And nearby another building with a courtyard and a few rooms around it. So it was a great season in order to understand the architecture here of the 11th century BC, the time of the Philistines. And today, just as the cherry on top of the cake, we discovered a huge bronze artifact, a spearhead, which is very impressive. Usually they are shorter, and this one is really big and large, in a very good state of preservation, a museum quality piece. The second area that we are excavating is on top of the site, and in the last 3 weeks we uncovered very monumental walls, very massive. They're going from one edge of the dig to the other. This is part of a very large building that we need more seasons to find the rest of it. And all these wonderful results could not be achieved without the great student from Macquarie University that came here and helped us to excavate in the last 3 weeks. And of course the donors of the dig and all the administration of the university and everybody that was involved. I really want to thank you for your great help in helping this important project.
It's been a really good experience. Never been on excavation or anything like this before, so it's a bit of a learning curve, but had a lot of fun. The weekend trips were really good. I think my favourite was going to Masada and seeing all the Roman remains and that sort of thing, and yeah, it's just been a really great experience. So if you get the chance, have a go.
I found my experience in Israel to be very rewarding, and yeah, it's been really fun to see the places that the biblical characters walked, and yeah, the archaeology of it all has been very rewarding and challenging, but yeah, fun.
I think this trip has been great to broaden my horizon because I study Roman and Greek history, so it's been really cool to study a bit of Israel's history and the Near East history. So I recommend it to all of you out there to, try something new. Learn some archaeology hands-on. It's the best way to do it.